most of my life. Very near here, in this district. Kolindros was a small village around 50 kilometers from Thessaloniki. Ah, I see. Kolindros. Tasoula lingered on the words as if they meant something. Not that they did, but the brief pause gave her time to think. The woman had a distinct accent. Thalia wondered where she came from. It wasn't a native Greek dialect, not one that Thalia recognized anyway. She couldn't quite place it. Albanian, perhaps? Or even Turkish? She wasn't sure. She wished she had caught the woman's name when she introduced herself earlier, but had been too anxious to concentrate. Tasoula looked again at the young woman with the dark hair and flawless face. She noted the beautiful eyes, a rich chestnut brown that projected an innocence and sincerity rarely seen in wartime Greece. But these things were not important. Tasoula had a critical decision to make. With jobs so scarce and unemployment high, Tasoula had no shortage of applicants. Before Thalia, she had interviewed several hopefuls, none of whom she deemed suitable. She would have to decide soon. Tasoula shifted her focus to the apprentice dressmaker's duties. Thalia, do you have any dressmaking experience? My favourite aunt is a dressmaker, and her mother was before that. So I've been around dressmaking my whole life. But if you're asking if I have any formal training, the answer's no. I only know what my aunt has taught me. I had always thought I would work for her, but with the war and all that, she can't afford to keep her business going. These days, the villagers don't have the money for luxuries like tailored dresses, and my aunt earns barely enough from mending clothes to survive. Thalia was surprised by how much information she had given. She shuffled around on the chair, wondering if she should say more. She decided against it. Tasoula noted the intricate, hand-sewn bodice and flared dress the girl wore, and could tell that her aunt was an expert seamstress. I sympathize with your aunt's predicament. Since the Germans invaded, many businesses have suffered. They have a lot to... Tasoula was about to express her views on the Nazi occupation, but thought better of it. Best not to reveal her feelings about the occupiers, or hint at her own role in combating them. Tasoula and her 18-year-old son Thanasis were active members of the Greek National Liberation Front, a resistance movement with communist leanings. They hated the Nazis with a passion bordering on obsession. Tasoula was a key link in a sophisticated escape chain that helped fugitives, most often escaping Allied soldiers, to safety in Turkey or Syria. Her role was to hide the fugitives until they could be moved, which might be a matter of days or several weeks, sometimes even months. She passed them over to Madame Lapper, who, in turn, transferred the men to the final link in the chain, a well-funded British-backed escape organisation that would arrange documentation and passage on a cargo ship. Tasoula also ran a successful dressmaking business, partly as a front to avoid detection, but mostly because she needed the money. She employed 12 dressmakers, and a recent resignation meant that she now had to hire an apprentice. Betrayal, an ever-present threat, would mean a death sentence, which was why the decision about who to employ was such a critical one. If any of her girls ever learned about her resistance work, Tasoula's life would be in their hands. Tasoula addressed Thalia once more. The job doesn't pay much, I'm afraid. Not in these times. Not with the war on, she said, part of her hoping that the low wages might discourage Thalia and make her decision for her. Tasoula wondered if she might manage with 11 dressmakers. But business was good, and she needed all the work she could get to pay her overheads and feed the soldiers she sheltered. She had no idea how long the orders would keep flowing in. Already, 6 months after the Germans had marched into the country in April 1941, the war and the deteriorating economy were having an impact. But for the time being, she had enough work to keep 12 workers busy. We can talk about wages if you get the job, but I have to warn you, I can't afford to pay a lot. I understand. I don't need much, just enough to get by and help support my family. A sudden movement caught Thalia's eye, diverting her attention to the window by the door. She glimpsed 2 thick-set men in uniforms walking towards the house. A Greek police officer followed. From nowhere, a tall teenage boy appeared in the doorway, the boy in the photo.